Welcome back to the channel. I'm Colin and this review will be a bit different, as I will be reviewing two items today, the iBasso Klee IEM and the iBasso Macaron. Both of these items are products from iBasso's more budget sub-brand, iBasso Junior. Let's talk about the Klee first. The Klee is a single dynamic driver IEM. It retails for $70. It has a PVD stainless steel shell. Mine's in silver, but it's also available in blue too. There are two vents on each side of the shell, one in front of the driver and the other on the top of the IEM. It comes with a braided purple 2-pin cable with a modular connector, so you can swap between the standard 3.5mm mini jack and 4.4mm balance jack. The wires themselves are on the thicker side. The Klee's frequency response is rated from 20 Hz to 40 kHz. It doesn't mean it will suddenly grant you bat-like hearing, but it usually means the drivers are pretty capable in them, especially for a single dynamic driver IEM. Let's talk about the fit and comfort. The Klee fits well in my ears. I don't have any issues regarding the fit. What surprised me was how well it isolates background noise. Usually single dynamic driver IEMs have pretty average isolation, but the Klee actually seals really well. A slight drawback is that you may have a bit of driver flex when the IEM is inserted, but that's normal and will not cause damage to the drivers. These IEMs will work fine on trains, buses, and even on planes. Here are the measurements of the Klee. The Klee has a slightly warm sound signature with a slight bass boost. The mids onwards all the way to the treble is pretty linear and well controlled. Overall, it sounds very natural and well tuned. The highs of the Klee has great extension but well controlled at the same time. Although there's a peak around the 5 to 6K region, I don't find it sounding bright or sharp at all. The transients in the highs are quick and responsive. As a result, there's not a whole lot of second harmonics in the highs. I think its treble performance and extension is among one of the best around the price range. Given the fact it's just a single dynamic driver, it's really impressive. Just shows how capable the driver is in the Klee. Overall, the highs sound natural and true to life and non-fatiguing. The mids of the Klee does have a sense of warmth to it. I would describe it as smooth and slightly laid back. There's a peak around the 3K range to boost clarity of the mids. It adds just a slight touch of clarity to the slightly warm-sounding vocals. It doesn't sound overly shouty or overly detailed. It's a natural-sounding, smooth vocal and mid-range presentation. The bass of the Klee is quick and responsive, but it does not pack a whole lot of punch. It's on the snappier side, but it doesn't go really deep. If you're a bass head or listen to a lot of EDM, I think you'll crave for bass that goes deeper and pack more punch. I think it's okay when you're using Klee at quiet places, but when you use them on the go, you'd probably want a bit more bass as the ambient noise drowns out the bass. When I unboxed the Klee, it immediately reminded me of the Dunu Kima 2 because of its driver configuration, stainless steel shell, and form factor. An obvious difference between them is that the Klee has much better passive isolation, better suited to be used on the go. The frequency responses were also really similar to each other. When measured, you can see that the Klee has more peaks around the 2 to 6K region, while the Kima 2 measured flatter. Upon listening, I felt that the Klee has slightly more pronounced bass response and treble response. It has a V-shaped sound when compared to the Kima 2. In terms of resolution and sonic performances, they are similar as well. A clear advantage the Kima 2 has is the amount of accessories and ear tips it comes with, but obviously it retails for more as well. Now let's talk about the cons. This might be nitpicking. A con for the Klee in my opinion is the finishing of the stainless steel shell. It's a fingerprint magnet and it isn't as nice as other metal shells I've seen. I would like to see perhaps a mix of matte and polished finishes on the shell. But considering most IEMs in this price range have a resin shell, I think it is reasonable. Let's look at the Macaron. The Macaron is a dongle DAC that features two CS43131 chips. It is quite tiny as far as dongle DACs go. I think it's probably only slightly longer than an actual macaron. Here's how it compares with the DC07 Pro. It has a glass aluminum sandwich construction. The top and bottom panels are tempered glass, and the chassis and the buttons are made from aluminum. There's an LED on the top panel that indicates what bitrate it's playing at. Power output wise, it's able to output 210 milliwatts at 32 ohm loads at its balance port. The only thing you are able to adjust is the volume control on the device. That brings us to the iBasso app. If you have an Android device, you can download the iBasso app. Here's how it looks inside the app. You can set the volume, channel balance, digital filters, gain level, and output. The output option allows you to switch from normal to turbo mode. In my experience, I don't think turbo mode makes much of a difference. It just slightly increases the volume output a tiny bit. Using the Macaron, you will be able to adjust the device volume using Android volume controls. By default, the Macaron is on low gain, so if you're an iPhone user, I would highly recommend you to download the app on a friend's phone and unlock some more driving power if needed. On an iPhone, you won't be able to adjust the volume in the system. You can only use the volume rocker on the Macaron. I tested the power consumption of the Macaron on my test rig. The power draw of the Macaron is around 65 to 70 milliamps per hour. The consumption is very similar no matter if you put it in low, medium, or high gain. This reading puts it in line with the DC07 Pro in terms of efficiency, which is really good. Here is how it compares with other dongle decks that I have reviewed. Now onto the sound of the Macaron. Trying out several IEMs with it, I think it sounds really clean and transparent. Paired with IEMs like the Klee and the Zephyr, that doesn't have a whole lot of bass, the bass still has quite a nice thump to it. Vocals and mids sound neutral and uncolored, and there's a good extension in the treble. Second harmonics and the decay of the notes sound well controlled on the D1 filter, giving it an overall very clean sound. The soundstage and imaging of the Macaron is quite good when paired with the Klee. The stage doesn't sound as deep as the nunchaku in tube mode, but that's to be expected at this price point. Imaging is also good. With well-recorded tracks, you can hear good positioning and placement, not too far from the performance of the DC07 Pro or the nunchaku in terms of imaging. The obvious con of the Macaron is that you need an app to adjust the settings. The volume rockers also don't support long press gestures, so it can take some time to adjust the 100 steps of volume. So how does the Klee and Macaron do in the wider scheme of products or products that I have reviewed? In my opinion, they both are extremely good value. The Klee is an IEM that punches above its weight. It's directly comparable to the Dunu Kima 2 in terms of sonic performance, which is 70% more expensive than the Klee. Of course, it doesn't have the same accessories, but if you are looking for sheer performance and value, the value of the Klee is just astonishing. Now onto the Macaron. Dongle decks is a category that you will run into the law of diminishing returns very quickly. So if you are on a tight budget, it is reasonable to spend a little less on the dongle deck section of your system. The Macaron is a very compelling choice as it does most of what the DC07 Pro does for around a fifth of the price. It doesn't have the same driving ability and it must require an app to configure settings. But if you don't mind using the Android app and what you normally use are IEMs with the Macaron, it will do 90% of what the DC07 Pro does in terms of sound quality. The Klee and Macaron have great synergy between them. Being products from the same iBasso sub-brand, the Klee being a relatively neutral and flatter IEM, I think it pairs well with the slightly V-shaped sound of the Macaron. With the Klee and Macaron combo, which roughly sets you at $120, it will bring you really deep into the hobby. It's likely you will not find a significant upgrade if you don't spend significantly more than this. So for people who are relatively new to the hobby, I would recommend them to invest in this combo. At around $120, I haven't heard a more compelling combo yet. We're looking at a combo that delivers a sound that punches above its weight, but without any obvious compromises and from a well-known manufacturer. If you're looking for a neutral all-rounded IEM and DAC combo, definitely give the Klee and Macaron some consideration. I've linked them in the description below if you're interested. So this is the end of my review of the iBasso Klee and Macaron. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Please like and share this video if you found it useful, and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next video.